As everyone knows, Formula One is one of the most expensive sports in the world, as the operational costs of a team is not within a bearable limit for an ordinary investor. So, multinational companies, investment firms or billionaires are always behind the majority of Formula One teams, and only a few teams like Ferrari, Williams and McLaren are able to survive in the sport for several decades. Most of the teams fail when they are unable to maintain a consistency in their funding to run the team. Developing a Formula One challenger and hiring talented drivers are the two essential things for a Formula One team. But good things are always expensive in this sport, and performances totally depend on the value of the investment made by each team. When teams run out of money to carry out these key operations, teams fail and move out of the sport. That's why we can see different types of F1 teams in different eras of F1. When someone has a desire to race in F1, he can't just bring a sports car and compete like in other racing categories. First, every team needs to get the approval of the FIA to compete in F1 by proving its financial and technical strength to run a team for a long period without any issues. Many teams and constructors have shown their interest to join the sport by 2026, but the maximum that can be accommodated by the FIA is 12 teams. There are only 10 teams in the current grid, but we cannot expect that all the teams are going to get the approval. The FIA started the bidding process for new teams last February, and several investors like Andretti Global, Honda, Hong Kong-based businessman Calvin Low, Hyundai, Hi-Tech GP, and Pantera Team Asia have already shown their interest for the bidding process. But only a maximum of 1 or 2 teams get the chance to join the sport by 2025. Still, the bidding is open, and a few more investors will surely place bids before the final evaluation by the end of June. Now, a huge discussion has been built around the entry fee, as all the existing F1 teams lost a considerable proportion of their annual income with the joining of new teams. Through this video, we are going to be investigating the latest updates related to the entry fee for new teams in F1. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. According to the existing fee structure, a new entrant has to pay a $200 million anti-dilution fee, which is distributed among the existing F1 teams as compensation to the potential losses that they have to face after the entry of a new team. There is a considerable difference between the global economic situation at present to the last time the Concord Agreement was signed. Based on the conditions that prevailed at that time, teams agreed for an anti-dilution fee of $200 million. But now, a discussion is going around the paddock to raise this value up to $600 million, matching the current economic state. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali, who has always stayed with the decision that any new team must add value to the sport, has also stressed about this matter to raise the entry fee which was previously agreed a few years back. The process of having another team has been launched by the FIA, Domenicali told F1 investors. In our governance, in our Concord, there's a possibility to do it. But the evaluation has to be done together to see from the technical perspective, from the sporting perspective, for the financial stability, and to make the bigger picture if a new team will give value to the league, to the sport, and there will be a different position. And I go back to one point. The so-called anti-dilution payment was done at $200 million. Just a couple of years ago, because at that time, no one would have expected that the value of this business would rise up so much. Today, the situation is totally different for sure, and it's our duty to make sure that we protect the business the best way that we can, and have a bigger picture. The most famous team that is trying to enter the sport is Andretti Global, but existing F1 teams always block their entry, citing that they have no sufficient economic background for an investment like an F1 team. In addition, the other bidding parties like Honda, Calvin Low, Hyundai, Hi-Tech GP and Pantera Team Asia are also with strong economic backgrounds. By raising the entry fee, the FIA can take one step forward in filtering out the financially weak teams. Today, there's so many that would like to come, Domenicali said. There are teams that are more vocal than others. Some of them are much more silent, but they are really expressing their interest. As always in life, someone has to make that evaluation, and we're part of this process, and we're going to do the right thing at the appropriate time through this year. CEO of Liberty Media, Greg Maffei, also backed the idea of Stefano Domenicali and highlighted how the value of an F1 team increased after their takeover. Back to the point about the $200 million, he said. Manor was the 11th team, and just before we bought into F1 in late 2016, it went into administration in the UK and got sold for £1. The world has changed dramatically. None of the existing teams in the current F1 grid supports the entry of new F1 teams, as it is economically harmful for theirs. The support given by the F1 CEO towards the same idea may discourage new entrants. All we know is the competitiveness of new entrants like Honda, Hyundai, Hi-Tech and Andretti in other racing categories. And if given the chance, they will surely bring the same energy to the Formula 1 grid as well. For fans, the sport is not money, and they always only consider about the level of competitiveness inside the racing. A 12-team Formula 1 grid will surely make the sport more beautiful than present, with more energy and competitiveness. It may not matter if the entry fee is 200 million or 600 million. People who really love the sport will surely book their place in the grid. Do you agree or disagree with the statement made by the Formula 1 CEO regarding the anti-dilution fee? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news. See you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.